Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
Welcome, Phebe Trotman to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. Thanks so much, Michael. I'm excited to be here and to have this conversation.
Well, I'm excited also. And sometimes, and I don't know if I'm going to add it or not, but we have some of the best conversations before we truly hit record of the podcast. And I'm going to tell everyone right now, you are a delight. And I know this episode is going to be a delight. So you are a speaker, author, and a coach, and you help people get out of their dead zones and into the starting zones, or from the starting point to that finish line, and then from the finish line to the next finish line. And that's what life needs to be, where we're continually improving, when we have this mindset of continually growing. And sometimes people, they keep on going and they stop at some point. And I can't even tell you how many times in my life this was me. For example, I was a teacher before I did everything else in my life. And I remember when I was done with college, I graduated and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm done with college, done with the hard part. And now I'm a teacher. I'm like, okay, I'm teaching. This is pretty easy. I get my summers off. And I had so much more free time because I didn't realize working a full-time and a part-time job to put myself through college, and then to have 18 course credits for a college semester. It was a lot of work. In my mind at the time, it was just something I had to do. It was feasible for me. And then I had all this free time. And you know what I did? I didn't progress. It didn't grow. And I became stagnant. And I go, this is not the life that I want. And I know that the work that you're doing is helping people get into the life that they are craving for every single day. If you could, Phoebe, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and of course, how you help people?
Absolutely. Well, I am, number one, a lifelong learner myself. And everything that I share and teach are from learning and doing. And I think that's such an important piece of it. It's like we can learn all day long, but at the end of the day, the magic happens when we start putting what we've learned into practice, and then we adjust and we modify and we keep taking one step forward. And so I am a lifelong learner. I'm a retired professional soccer player, and I still play sort of. I'm dealing with a hip issue right now, but still love the game. I love to be involved in the game, and I do coaching as well in terms of that. And then I work with athletes and teams to help them bring the mindset piece to help their overall performance, because so much of what we do starts in our mind. And so helping athletes and people in general who are entrepreneurs and business owners who want to level up in their career, in their sport, to take the next level with practical, tangible tools that they can put into practice right away to help them along that journey that you just so beautifully shared, to continue to run the race that they were created to run, and to help them do it to the best of their abilities.
Remember in 2018, this is when I did a lot of learning, probably 100 books that year. And it was a time in my life where I knew I needed to change. This was the transition from me saying, okay, I'm a teacher. I was a teacher. That was the identity, to what I would like to become. And I did a lot of learning that year. And of course, there was some level of action, starting the business, creating the LLC, stuff like that. It wasn't so much action where, number one, that I was like, oh, this is too much. But then number two, it was still me learning how to walk aspect. Think of a newborn right now. They stand, they might take a first step, or they think about taking the first step, and they don't. Where most people, when they get into this area of themselves or development, they go, I don't know enough. I don't have enough skill. I don't have enough knowledge. What is the point where a person needs to stop learning and start doing?
I think you start right away. I really think it's so important to start putting stuff into action right away. One of the things that I've realized in hindsight that I've done well, I didn't do it well in the beginning. However, I learned from it, was to learn and apply. So one of my things with whether I'm reading a book, whether I listen to a podcast, attend a conference, is what is the one gem that I'm going to put into action? Just one. Because I do think what we often do, and this is why I'm laughing, because this is what I did in the beginning, was like, well, I've got to learn everything. I've got to learn everything right now, and then I'll start. Well, guess what? Number one, we're never going to learn everything. So just let's put that aside. Number two, part of the beauty of when you start is then it's almost like you're on this journey. There's certain things you're not going to see until you're further along in the journey. However, if you don't start, you're not going to be able to you're not going to pick up those things. And so part of the beautiful thing is starting before you're ready, I talk a lot about a champion mindset, and I believe a big part of that is starting before you're ready. It's just taking that action and realizing that as you go, you're going to learn, and it's putting one foot in front of the other. And just like you're talking about a newborn, the newborn starts walking, they fall down. Guess what? They get back up. They don't just stay down there, right? They get back up because they have a goal. They're determined. They're modeling, whether it's parents, siblings, other people walking, they know it is in them. They know from birth it's in them. And that's the same thing with our goals and our dreams and our desires. They're in there for a reason. So know that you have everything it takes to be able to do it. So get back up, because you're going to get knocked down. You're going to fall down, and that's okay. That's part of the growth process. So be okay with that and embrace that, because it means that you're getting closer and closer and closer.
Yeah. I think of people who are stuck in this idea of that they don't know what they want, where they feel lost, they feel stuck, and they have this idea of a goal, but there's 100 different things that they want to do, and it's not really pinpointed yet. They have this idea of a dream, and this is it their dream or if it's someone else's dream, we don't know yet. They have all of these desires. Are they worldly desires, or are they true personal desires? And we have all of these choices and paths that people can take and make. And it can be daunting for an individual, especially if they have so many aspirations in life, to say, let me focus on one thing right now. And when you're working with individuals or speaking to individuals with this idea of helping them understand their goals, their dreams, their aspirations, their desires, all of those things, how do you help them pinpoint what they should be working on right now?
Well, one of the things, there's an activity that I've kind of I started off in a workshop doing it, and then it's kind of grown, and it's just talking about your dream day. And in essence, what it is it's taking some time to just really pause. And I always encourage people, I have a workbook that goes through it in more detail, but I'm going to give the simplest version is get a notepad, a journal, a pen, go somewhere quiet, make sure you have some time and just sit there with it and go, what does my dream day? So everyone use your own name, but I say, what does Phebe Trotman's dream day look like? From the moment I open my eyes in the morning to the moment I close my eyes at night, what does my day, who am I with? What do I feel like emotionally, physically, spiritually? What is my financial situation? Where am I in the world? And just write it all in the present tense as if you're experiencing it right then and there. Just dream, and really give yourself that space. Now, the reason that this activity is so powerful, and I struggled with it when I first did it, I really did, because I was like, I don't even know where to start. And then you have all this chatter that comes in. Well, really? How are you going to wake up in Barbados? All the stuff that comes in. And so that's why I say it's a process, but quiet your mind enough to really just get in touch with what does that look like? And the reason this is so powerful is that it gives you what I like to call, on the front of the workbook, it has a lighthouse, because in the sense that for me, creating my dream day has been a lighthouse to focus on. So what I do is I work backwards from there. I have my dream day, and I've done this process many times because I've experienced portions of that dream day, which is such an incredible feeling. So I continue to grow with it and evolve with it, but I work backwards from there. So to decide what do I do next, or what projects or opportunities do I want to align with, I use that dream day as a reference point. If Phebe Trotman says yes to this activity or this business or this opportunity or this step forward, is it taking me closer to my dream day? If it's yes, okay, great. Now it doesn't mean I just jump in. I also, there's priorities, there's times, there's capacity, all the other things to evaluate as well. But it does give me something to reference. And so I encourage people to do that, because one of the things, and you talked about a little bit, is it a worldly idea of what you want, or is it actually what you want? And so I realized that in doing this activity numerous times, that there have been moments where I was just like, oh yeah, well, that's what success is. Is it? Is that for me? And then working from there. So that's an activity that every person, I encourage them to just take some time and do, because it will help give a reference point, at least to start with.
Yes. Stephen Covey says to begin with the end in mind, where we say, okay, this is the goal. This is what I would like. And then we reverse engineer that. All right. Because if we look at the final house that you're living in, or the final destination, right? There's a lot of things that have to happen, right? As you said, it's going to be hard to, for the brain to say, oh, I'm in Barbados all of a sudden, right? You had to get on the plane. There's a process to that, TSA, etc. So there's things that you have to go through to get there. And sometimes the process is not pretty, right? Going through TSA and sitting in the airport, waiting on the plane or flying is not maybe the most luxurious thing, right? But I will say is that it's the journey of life that can be truly magnificent. Because if we had the option to teleport everywhere, and I think about this sometime, where you can teleport anywhere you want to and you're just there, that would zap away so much of the joy of life I don't think people recognize. Where you're in the car driving, your kids are yelling, and you're like, oh my God, I'm about to turn back. Right there, it's going to become a memory. You're like, "Ah, do you remember when we were in the car and you were always yelling and things like that?" You look back at those memories and they become a part of you. That's life. Where
Mhm.
some people, they just want the best parts of life. And I say you can't have the best parts of life if you don't know the bad parts of life, because you don't know what you like until you try something, and you don't know what you don't like, and like vice versa. So it's the idea of you have to experience life, and so many people, they have ideas of experiences, but they're not putting it into action. Very similar to how they're learners, but they're not putting that action into the stuff they learned. Though Tony Robbins is a great coach, love the guy, a lot of the people who go to his seminars and workshops, you know what they do? They go to the seminars and workshops, they're motivated for a little bit, and they're right back there next year. And if you ask them how much progress they made, it is damn near zero. And it's not because Tony is a bad coach. I do not think that. It's just that the mindsets of them when they're going to these workshops is that this workshop is going to give me everything I need, versus the workshop is going to give you something for you to take action with. And it's up to you to take the action. And that action is going to be the big step now, where people are like saying, all right, I need to start this race, right? Because anyone can register for a 5K, right? Anyone can join a soccer team. But are you going to show up on the first day? Are you going to show up when it's time to race? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm just going to stay in bed today. I'm just going to take it easy. And even though you did the initiation, which many people, they do the initiation aspect, we can see it with people going to seminars and workshops, they don't do the finalizing pieces. How many people say, I'm going to get a fixer-upper project for a home, and they never fix it up, right? Or a car or something, right? It just takes the back burner. But we have to be deliberate when we're cooking in life. We have to say, hey, I'm going to make this happen. What is that mindset for people getting into this idea of not allowing things to just sit there and remain stagnant, or become stagnant after a period of time, but to be deliberate every single day?
Yeah. And I think the key is what you just said, be deliberate every single day. And so one of the things that I just think is so important is, what can you act on today and now, and focusing? Because oftentimes I think what we do as humans is, it's like, well, I have this idea. For example, go back to the dream day. Well, my dream day is this. Oh my gosh, well, that's so far away. Oh my goodness, and then it's like, well, I'm not going to start today because it's pretty far away. So I have time. Or I'm not sure. And, all the stuff, versus just focusing on, what can I do today? How can I win today? What is one thing that I can do today? Because I'll tell you this, and I've attended Tony Robbins' incredible workshops. Again, what the thing is pulling a gem out of it. And what can I do right now, today? Focusing on winning the day. And then the next day, do the same thing. Do something today and I love, there's a quote, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And so every day when you close your eyes, just do a quick review of the day. Be like, did I do something today that my future self will thank? Yep. Okay, good. And then if you didn't, get up and do something. Maybe if it's a health goal, do some push-ups or just something. Or if you didn't, and it's like end of the day, tomorrow, make sure tomorrow before you close your eyes, you do something. Because when you start doing that and you start stacking those days that you've won, and what I mean by winning them is doing something, again, that's moving the needle towards whatever it is that you're working towards. When you start to do that day in, day after, day in, day after, that's when all of a sudden you're like 6 months later, like, whoa. That's where you start to see those. And it doesn't have to take 6 months. I know someone's like, 6 months. Oh my gosh. Guess what? 6 months is going to pass whether you do it or don't. So either way, but that's how you start to move the needle and get closer to your goals and dreams. It's sometimes not focusing, yes, knowing the end result and working backwards for sure. That's part of the process. And then starting today with what you can do right now to move the needle. The other thing I'm going to say that I don't think, and I talk about this, I don't think enough of us celebrate the win. So what I mean by that is, It doesn't matter how small that step is. Celebrate that. Just like go back to the baby reference. When a child's learning to walk, they take one step and we're like, whoa, you did it. We're cheering, we're loud. That's positive reinforcement for the next step and the next step. Well, do that to yourself. Have the same kindness that you would have with the child that you love in terms of how do you talk to them? How do you talk to yourself? What are you thinking up here? What are you saying to yourself? Have the same positive reinforcement when you take a step forward. And when you fall back, when you fall down, cheer yourself to get back up and take the next step. And when we start to do that, that's where you'll look back and be like, wow, look at the growth that's happened. And that's where, so I just encourage people, every day, focus on what you can do today. And as you said, be deliberate, be intentional with what you're doing.
Beautifully said. I like this idea of when someone is like truly doing what they need to do in their life, they're going to find any means and give up anything that is not part of it, almost like a bad habit. It's like, wait, what? I'm doing this, and they just do it naturally. I remember when I moved to Texas. I'm from Connecticut, and when I moved to Texas, I gave myself a couple of rules, silly rules maybe, where it's like, don't leave dishes in the sink before bedtime, right? And I remember one time I was in bed. It was like 11 o'clock. I was exhausted. I was like, man, there's 2 dishes in the sink. I can't sleep. Went to the sink, washed the dishes. I slept like a baby that night, right? But then I woke up 4 o'clock in the morning, went to the gym. I was thinking about that night where I was like, those damn 2 dishes, right? They gave me so much motivation. I mean, probably would pair with Tony Robbins' motivational speeches, right? I was that motivated. I was like doing the things that you commit yourself to do, right? I was like, I could have left them to the morning, to the morning, to the next day, to that following night or whatever, maybe even to the following week, right? It's only 2 dishes, right? How bad could it get? And I think people, they get into this mindset of how bad can it get, and things start to pile up. Whether you like it or not, life can get heavy very quick. For example, 2026, anyone can say that this was not my family's year. All right. Easy enough. Anyone could say there's a lot of problems that happen in 2026, and we are just getting started. Right. So this is the mindset where people, they will have a hiccup, they will have a hurdle, and they will say, you know what? Let's try again next year, right? Try again next week. And even though this is viable for some things, I think it could be a detriment because people, they get into the habit of doing it. They'll do it later, and they have this habit of doing it later versus doing it now. And I wanted to get your perspective on this idea of when is a good time for people to say, you know what, maybe it's time for me to take a break. Think of an injury, for example, as like a sports injury. Maybe it's important for me to take a break and recover. And then maybe when you're in your business, maybe it's not, time for me to go get ice cream if I'm supposed to be making some phone calls.
Yeah. So first, I want to mention, kudos to you for getting up and washing the dishes. But one of the beautiful things about that, and I want listeners to catch this, you had a commitment to yourself and you followed through on it. That's what builds confidence and self-belief and self-esteem. It's like you do what you say you're going to do, even in the moment. Who wants to get out of bed and wash 2 dishes? No one. You're telling a story and I'm like, oh, I can hear my aunt, because my aunt, that's the rule at her house. It's so funny. Mm-hmm. But the fact you did it, those are the little things that build self-belief and confidence, and they matter more than we realize. Because you not honoring that commitment you made to yourself, then it becomes easier and easier to not continue to not honor it. So it's easy to do and it's easy not to do. But the powerful thing is when we do what's easy to do and we continue with it, that's also what builds our confidence and our belief. To answer your question in terms of when is it time to pause, I believe that's such a personal thing. And because it depends on the situation, it depends on, there's a lot of factors in there. But what I would say is that if someone has a goal and they're working towards that goal, first figure out why you're doing it in the first place. Go back to why is this goal even important to you? Whoever you are, what is it? Because when you can get in touch with the why behind what you're doing, that can fuel you in ways. So whether you're feeling like, do I need to pause? Do I not? Revisit your why. And if you are, if that why is still there, because I think that's often, sometimes we lose sight of, well, why are we doing what we're doing? Sometimes it's just like you feel, again, the weight of the world in other ways. And then it's like, I don't even know, why am I doing this? We'll figure out why you're doing it, because that will help you, I think, make that decision whether or not it is time to pause. In the books, I talk about like, when is it? Because, never quit on a bad day. People are always like, well, does that mean I never quit something? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And this does kind of tie to your question in the sense of, well, when do you quit something? Well, I think there's multiple times. And again, I think it's personal, but if you accomplish the goal you set out to do, then it might be time to transition and to continue to challenge yourself. As you talked about with teaching, you felt like there's more, right? So if you're feeling that feeling and you accomplish what you set out to do, maybe it's time to move forward into the next challenge or opportunity to continue to grow. I say when, you might want to transition into something else if it's no longer serving you in the sense that your values are not aligned with where you are or your vision for yourself. If it's not moving you towards it, it might be time to look at something else. Or if it's causing significant, if you're in a situation that is causing a lot of, whether it's anxiety or it's causing you harm in the sense of it isn't serving you, then that's something to look at as well too, right? So it's not about the whole mission behind Never Quit on a Bad Day is not making a permanent decision based on temporary emotion. So not, you have a goal to accomplish something and you're frustrated, not going, well, that's it, I quit. It's very different than pausing. Pausing sometimes might be to reevaluate, to make that next right decision for you versus just packing it in. So it's not making a permanent decision based on those temporary emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's a really good segue to look at your most recent book, Challenge Yourself, Change Your Life, where this idea of challenging ourselves can be daunting for people. Like, what is a challenge? Like, oh my goodness, like I have to do ice bucket challenge or something. Like people, people will stay away from that. They're like, okay, I'm not doing that, right? That nonsense. And the challenge can be maybe big, it could be small, right? We can use the individual aspect. Again, is that everyone's going to be in a different place. Some people walking to the mailbox can be the challenge for the day. Some people, it's like, hey, let's go do a marathon. So depending on where we are, right? We have two ranges, right? The pendulum can swing all the way left and right, and we can either find ourselves somewhere in the middle or on either side. So you have to understand where you are there. And then from there, that challenging aspect is now a mindset of, is this challenge going to make me better? And if it is, why would you shy away from it? But yet so many people do. They want the good life, but they're not willing to do the work to get to the good life. Your perspective in your book, right, where the idea is to help people take action. This is a great motive for people, but yet there are so many people in the world who don't even initiate that mindset or initiate that action to be more than they are, to have the good life. They would rather keep that life a dream. What is your initial process to helping people challenge themselves to get to that good life?
I think a big part of it is learning to, there's another quote I love, life is at the edge of your comfort zone by Neil Donald Walsh. And one of the reasons I love that is because I feel like oftentimes we get into this like, well, it's comfortable here. It's comfortable here. Well, yes, but also if there's things that you want and desires on your heart and goals that you want to accomplish, most likely they're outside your comfort zone or you'd already have them. So get excited about being able to stretch it. Get excited about stepping outside of it and challenging yourself again, because you're growing. It's the person that you're growing into. It's the person, it's the journey, it's the person you're becoming. And so part of it is sometimes people don't know, like, well, what do I do? How do I grow? Like, where do I even start? Again, going back to that, where do I even start? And so that was kind of part of the catalyst for this book, is because I do a lot of trainings, and in it, I give challenges. Like, it's like, take action, because again, we can talk all day long, but the beauty is when someone takes action on something. And so this book is filled with 52 super short challenges. You can literally like flip it open, put your finger on, pick one, and then do that for that day or for that week. It might be something you want to repeat, but it's designed to give someone a personal development, a growth, something that they can do. Again, it's not a book you just read. It's really a book that you do to help you start to stretch your comfort zone, expand it, to learn more about yourself, to connect better with others, to grow into that next level. And to really strengthen your confidence and your resilience through activities that are simple to do, because oftentimes I think we make so many decisions in decisions in a day that people get in decision fatigue. And so here's something that you can just shake it up a little bit, read and go, okay, yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. And some of it is very basic, but that's the beauty of it, is it's basic because it works and it's simple and it can help you grow into your best self.
The words basic and simple can be dangerous in our worlds today because I say this, it is simple to be on your phone, right? It's simple to not take action. It is simple to order Uber Eats. Actually, that could be complicated if you don't know how to use a phone or a tablet. So depending on your age group, right? Things can be simple. But the idea of not taking any action today can probably be the most simplest thing we can do. Now, I understand the baby step aspect where we could just do one simple, it's what, a simple stupid or something like that, where it's just so easy for someone to do, where it's like, you didn't do that. Like, like young kids, like, you can't do this. You can't climb the wall. And they're like, oh, I can climb the wall. And then they push themselves and they do it. So it's like, they know maybe innately they can do something, but at the same time, there could be fears there, where the fear of rejection, the fear of putting themselves out there. You and I were having a conversation before we started recording about the podcast and how I started doing a series and I stopped and then I started the podcast. And the whole process of me doing that was me battling myself of, are people going to like me? My voice sounds weird. Or, I was giving myself all of these excuses. And sometimes when you give yourself a simple task with big excuses, it becomes very difficult to do those simple tasks. What is your advice for helping people overcome that negativity in their mind, telling them to take it easy, to take it slow, to not do it today, to basically go on vacation forever?
Well, I like to say the most powerful conversation that we can have is the one that we have with ourselves. What we have up here, it can either move us forward or it can hold us and stop us in our tracks. And so I think it goes back to our mindset, number one. And it's something that I talk about. So like, what are you saying to yourself and how can you challenge that? And I have like a little framework, 3 C's is, when that chatter comes up and then number one, catch it. So catch it first. What are you saying to yourself? Like, okay, catch it. Next, challenge it. Challenge it, because oftentimes it might be like, well, I don't know how to do this, right? Let's just say that pops up for someone. I don't know how to do this. Okay, well, catch it. So acknowledge it. That came up. Challenge it. I don't know how to do this. Okay, well, have you ever learned anything before? I have learned something before. Okay, what? Okay, I've learned how to use my phone. Okay, great. So if you learn how to use your phone before, then you can learn something new again, right? Yes. So we caught with a thought, we're challenging the thought. Now let's change the thought. I can learn new things. Repeat that over and over again. So the moment that I don't know how, well, I learned before, I can learn it again. I can learn new things and repeat that and then take action, right? Because at the end of the day, that action that you start to take forward is going to reinforce the belief that you can do it. Too many times it's like, well, I'm going to do it when I feel confident. That's not how confidence works. Confidence comes because we have the courage to take the step forward. Now we have evidence that we can do hard things. And that's where we become confident because we're like, I did something. Now we have proof that we can do it. So it's about movement. It's about moving forward. And again, even if it's a baby step, even if it is a baby step, celebrate that baby step because it means that you're doing it. And because the more you celebrate it, now you're getting that positive reinforcement. You're getting that dopamine hit, which we all love that. And then you continue to go forward from there. So that would be the 3 things I always encourage people. Start with the chatter. So catch what you're saying to yourself, challenge what you're saying to yourself, and then change what you're saying to yourself. And as you continue to do that, again, I'm not going to say that I don't have negative thoughts. I'm human. They pop in. But what I have gotten much better at is how quickly can I catch it, challenge it, and change it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about when you are on this development journey and growing is that timeline becomes shorter. Same thing with getting knocked down and feeling like bummed. You're like, but you get up faster as you get stronger. You get stronger and you learn from your setbacks. And so now I think the beautiful thing is as you continue to grow and evolve, you're able to respond faster. You're able to catch those thoughts faster. You're able to choose your response that's going to empower you and serve you. And so that is the goal, I think, for that encourage people is how can you start to shift that behavior even faster?
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently, probably a couple months ago. because it was like a year or two ago where it really affected me. Like when I asked someone to be on my podcast and they said, no, I don't want to be on your podcast. And I was thinking, why do you want to be on my podcast? You're the perfect fit. Like your book is in alignment with the podcast. You seem to be in alignment with what you're teaching the world. So why do you want to be on my podcast? It must be something wrong with me, right? So I was giving myself all of these negativities, right? And now it's to the point where somebody doesn't want me on a podcast. I go, okay. And I just move on. Like it is like The Matrix. It's an old movie, but The Matrix and Neo's dodging all the bullets. I just like look at the bullets go by me. I was like, it doesn't affect me. But in the beginning, it did, where I had to get used to the rejection. And I know rejection could be a big thing, right? A guy is going up to girls or vice versa, where you're putting yourself out there on the limb, right? Even starting a business, you're putting yourself out there financially, physically, everything. And you're putting yourself out there on a limb to maybe win, to maybe not win, right? So it's just like this idea of 50-50, or it can be or it can't be, can be, again, going back to that life aspect, right? That's part of life too, where it's just like, I couldn't have gotten to this point where if people say no to me to be on the podcast or whatever in my life, where I'm like, oh man, that sucks, or I didn't get the client or whatever, that sucks. Yes, sure, especially if you are hopeful for it. But you get to a point, I will tell you this, where now on the podcast, there's a waiting list. It's like people, I get dozens of people requesting to be on the podcast every single week. And I'm just thinking in my mind, this is ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous at this point. But then I look back at the 2-year point where I'm like, man, I remember when I was asking people and they didn't want to come on the show and things like that. And now I can't stop people from not wanting to come on the show. And this is to say that Coaching in Session is a platform where I built not only for myself, but for future generations. I love to make it timeless. And I love to speak in terms and ways where the brain is going to recognize it, whether you are in 1900 or you are in 2050. All right. This right here is to say that it's going to be timeless, right? This idea that we can do the stuff, right? We can catch it, we can challenge it, we can change it. All of those things are going to be the timeless aspects to what the mind is developing. And I love the middle part, the challenge it. And I use this all the time with my clients when they tell me something. I go, who told you that? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, because then they realize it's them. Or it's just like, how much do we speak negatively in our life? We have so much negativity, and the world has enough negativity. All right. I don't know if you turn on the news lately, people. Too much negativity. All right. You don't need it in your life. What are some methods that you use? I know you do the idea of you catching, you're getting rid of it, but to limit the negativity. I know some people, they might say, I stay away from the news. I stay away from bad environments, bad people. What is your method to making sure that you can remain in a more positive state?
Absolutely. Before I answer that question, though, I want to just, what you said was so powerful, where when you were sending out those messages and people were saying, not now or whatever it was, and now you have too many people to deal with. And when I hear those things, I just pause, because I go and I challenge everyone listening, watching, to go, what if you quit? What if when you weren't getting the response you wanted, in that moment, you just said, this isn't for me, I'm done. Think about all the growth you've experienced, all the people you've helped, all the lives that you've changed because you kept going, even when it was rough in that moment. And I encourage people to, that is the powerful part of why never quit on a bad day. Just that phrase. I want people to hold that phrase in their heart, in their spirit, because it will transform your life and other people's lives when you continue to push through that. So I just wanted to say that, because there's always those moments where it's like, oh, it's not going fast enough, or this or that. But when you push through, that's where just greatness comes from. And that's where we really grow. And so to answer your question in terms of how do I stay positive? Well, I'm not a big news. I don't really watch the news. If there is something, I'm not going to know what's going on in the world, but I typically will all choose how I engage with it. And I mean that in the sense, I will choose when I look into it. I'll choose when I watch something or when I read something to stay informed. I'm very careful on creating and very intentional about my environment, in the sense that for those of you who are watching, books, I read a lot of books. I have another big bookshelf over here on the side. So I'm filling my mind with what I want my life to be. And so I'm very intentional about the books that I read. I'm very intentional about what I listen to, in the sense that podcasts, YouTubes, continuing to learn. Also, music. Like I encourage everyone, one of the activities in the new book is called Soundtrack to Greatness. And one of the things I encourage people to do is, it's, again, short activity, create a playlist. Call it whatever you want. You can even call it Soundtrack to Greatness, but have a playlist that when you hit play, the songs that you have intentionally put on there are songs that just, they bring a smile to your face for whatever. And my playlist is the most random, like that you're going to have some like soca music. There's going to be gospel. There's 90s. There's like a slow romantic song. It is filled with just songs that are personal to me that make me smile and remind me of an experience. And so having that soundtrack to greatness, because when there are those moments where I'm like, I hit play, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my jam. And then it shifts my state, right? Working out for me is a way that can help shift that state. If I'm having a bit of I go work out, I go for a walk, like doing something active, again, shifting that state and doing those things consistently. So it's not waiting until I'm in a like, oh, I'm bummed. I do use it for that too, but also to continue to stay in a positive state because of what I'm reading, who I'm around. There's another activity called Soar Higher in the book. And it's like, think about the people you spend time with and start to evaluate how you feel after being with them. So the people you spend the most time with, how do you feel after you leave their presence? Do you feel empowered, uplifted, filled, whatever it is, happy, whatever, or are you kind of like, like just neutral? Or kind of maybe low. And and not saying you just ditch your people, it's not saying that at all. Just be intentional about now maybe starting to fill a little bit more time with some of the other people who you do feel lifted up when you're around them. And this has all been a process. It's not, again, something I've just did in one day. It's like, okay, add this to it. Okay, playlist. And I realized that in some of the stuff I've gone through over the last, I'd say 15 years, some really tough situations, how much music has played a role in my life, how much when I wasn't working out consistently. I mean, I've always played soccer, but when there's stretches where I'm not in season and I wasn't doing extra, how I would just be a little bit off. And this is me. Again, it's not going to be everyone, but so pay attention to those things. And the more you start to fill yourself up, because you want to keep yourself at a full cup as much as you can, because as we just said, life will happen. And if you're already, your cup's pretty empty and then life happens, that's where it's, it hits even harder. If you're in a full place, fullish, and then life happens, it's like, okay, I can, because you're coming from a full place, if you will. So those are just a few of the ways that I've been really intentional, especially as I've gotten older and had some life stuff happen where I'm like, okay, I want to make sure my cup is as full as possible at as much as I can, and being intentional about doing those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I talk about that idea as well on the podcast. 8 years ago, I created a playlist called Wake Me Up. And it's a motivational playlist that it basically took the place of my alarm. So when my alarm was supposed to come on, motivational music came on.
Oh, I love that.
Probably one of the reasons why I started motivation first and not the podcast, where it was a part of my life where it really invigorated me to do the hard work, to look at the areas where they could have been better. And for me to say, hey, I'm going to commit to the change. I know sometimes looking into the dark areas of your life can be scary, but if you have the right person on your side, guide, mentor, coach, they're going to be able to do it with you. And I don't know if you ever went in a haunted house. I hope you didn't. But if you did, if you have a person with you, it's a little bit more bearable, right? It's like, I got you. You're my buddy. Okay, we're going to do this together, right? And that's what a coach does, right? That's what Phebe does. And this is so important. I say this all because we all have aspects in our life to be higher than what we are, right? Not drugs, but higher in life, right? Status, happiness, family, whatever it is, right? To change something. Most people are not going to say, yeah, I'm good where I am, right? I don't want nothing, right? Because the moment you start to get hungry, guess what? You want something all of a sudden, right? And that's going to be the change, right? We're always going to be fluctuating. We're always going to be changing. You have to constantly look at your life. It's a parameter where you have to say, okay, where am I right now? Sometimes you need a little bit more family. Maybe you need a little bit more career. That's the balance of what life is. Life is going to always fluctuate that, but you have to be able to define that. And our conversation today, Phebe, was definitely one of helping people understand, to define that for themselves, for them to understand that there is a purpose more than just what is today. They understand that the season that they're in is not going to be the season they end up in. Even if they're in a good season right now, they could be in a better season. And this is all to say that the work that you do are helping people understand that they can have a starting line right here, and they can have a finish line. But there's always going to be a next step. And that is the goal, to keep on taking the steps until there's no more steps to be taken. And at that point, we can be in our dream spot right there. We're in our dream life every single day. We're in the Bahamas. We're just looking around like, wow, I did it. So as we begin to wrap up, I would love to get some final words, some final thoughts. And then if you could, please tell everyone how they can find you, reach out, and begin working with you.
Absolutely. So one of the things I'd love to leave people with is just a simple activity to do that can completely shift. Again, we talked about what's super simple, but it's so powerful. One of the things I did many, many years ago, I put a reminder in my phone, an event. So 9:10 p.m. Pacific, it pops up and it just says, I'm so happy and grateful that. And that is my moment. And it has transformed gratitude, and having a gratitude practice has absolutely transformed. One of the reasons I stay upbeat and positive is because of that, and just weaving gratitude throughout my day. But I challenge people to do this. Pick any time of day that you want. Set a calendar reminder, put it on repeat. And when that comes up, just take a second to pause. It might be longer if you have more time. It might be super short. It might be closed eyes. It might be eyes open. It might be writing. It might be saying it loud. But what are you grateful for in that moment? And when you continue to do this and stack the wins and stack all the things you have to be grateful for, that in itself will fuel you to move forward. So I encourage you to do that, because it is absolutely transformational. And when you just start to live from a place of there's so much to be grateful for that you have, regardless of the season that you're in, there's always something that you can hold on to. And sometimes that's all you need to be able to shift your perspective for that moment to create a breakthrough. So I encourage people to do that and set a time for whatever you want. Just make sure you have some sort of gratitude practice in your life. I would love to connect with people. I'm available on social media. Never Quit on a Bad Day. Very easy to remember. So you can check us out there. And then also my website, neverquitonabadday.com. And there's a free gift for everyone who goes and visits. You get 10 challenges from the new book, completely free. Recommend, get that, implement, take action, pick one challenge, start there, and then just watch how you'll stack the wins and watch your life transform.
Now, Phoebe, I'm going to make it even simpler for people. They don't have to remember anything. The links are right down below. So you just have to click it and begin that process of learning about yourself, experiencing life again for what life is meant to be. It's not meant to be in a constant state of survival. You're meant to thrive. You're meant to experience all the lush things life has to offer. It's not something where you go to an Instagram post and you look at someone's life and you go, that would be nice. This could be your nice right now. And it might not be exactly right now, but in the now that is going to be later, it's going to be like, wow, like that now happens so much quicker because you were deliberate. So take time to give yourself this mindset of catching it, challenging it, and begin changing it, because a good life is just around the corner. So I do want to thank you, Phoebe, for coming on, spending some time, and of course, talking about your work and how you help people.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Michael, for this podcast and this platform to be able to share and to inspire and change lives. So I appreciate everything you're doing as well.